What I'm going to talk about now has to do with one, the concept of one. Okay. So let's stick with object perception. Let's go back to it again. Let's think about it again. Now, one reason I find this kind of thinking useful is because of the kind of experience I had last semester and the kind of experience I've had for many years getting on doctoral dissertation committees that have a lot of professors who mainly do quantitative research and don't really know, what my qualitative students are doing, don't understand it very well, and it's very, very difficult to get very basic ideas across, like not all knowledge ought to be in models. Models is not the only form of knowledge, please. And validity as prediction, not all knowledge is that way. There's knowledge, important knowledge, that you don't validate by making predictions and then checking them out. How do you validate them then? Well, that's where we're going. We're going to explore that idea real soon. But right now we're talking about one. When we perceive an object, we perceive qualities. So our actual central experience can be broken down into qualities. So we can say, I'm looking at that chair and I see black, I see tan, I see something that I can almost feel as a texture, and I'm describing its qualities. But I also see it as a one. I also see it as something singular. And Western philosophers have argued for centuries about what that means. How can we explain one? It's not one of the qualities something has. It's not centrally experienced. It's not an object. It's not a component of something. It's not there. Where is it? There's a whole field of philosophy called mirology. That's all they do is argue about that. The one and the many problem, the many and the one problem. So how do we handle that one? Well, Husserl, Edmund Husserl, the guy who started phenomenology in its modern form, he argued that there's something called categorical perception or intuition. Categorical intuition, that a concept comes with that's non-sensory, that's part of the perceptual experience. So he distinguished between the categorical part of the perception and the sensual part of the perception. Before him, Kant had a different way of trying to deal with this problem, and that seemed to be looking more in here than out there to get at the one. And Kant's ideas actually, they're the ones I'm going to be emphasizing here in this talk today. Kant noticed that when we have experiences of objects, there's a component of recognition involved. We recognize that as a chair. We don't see a chair, we recognize that as a chair. And so there's a concept involved in the perception, chair. And we can be wrong. We can think that's a chair and get closer and find out it's really a stool. Or we can call that a chair and somebody else can say, what are you talking about, man? That's not a chair, it's a car. Who knows what? Anyway, it's because we can be wrong that we have the difference between experience and what experience is of. Otherwise we wouldn't have a concept of experience. Things would just be, right? We wouldn't have to make that distinction. But because we can be wrong, we have the concept of experience, and we see that experience is intimately related with concepts. Concepts come out in experience when we can question an experience, or when we can experience an expectation that fails us because we got it wrong, the perception wrong. We judge, there was a pre-conscious judgment made that was wrong. That's an interesting idea, because if somebody says, well, people have concepts, just pause a minute. That's not a really helpful explanation, having concepts. That suggests, well, we have a mind, and then the mind has within it concepts. And teachers teach students concepts so that their minds will become filled with concepts. Anyway, this way of looking at concepts is more phenomenological, and there's no mind in the picture. There's no self in the picture. There's just the experience of something as something. If we add mind into the picture, something that can possess concepts, then we're going to metaphysics. We're postulating, we're putting a model in there. And we don't want to do that, not prematurely.